what's up, guys? This is what if Goku, well, not Goku. What if Goten was in the future? Now, I'm wondering, what are you talking about, dog? Well, you know there's a future Gohan, future Trunks. There's no future Goten, motherfuckers. But in this version, there is. And why am I making a future Goten? Because there needs to be one. I'm gonna say Goku actually died closer to the end of those 3 years. And it was right after he impregnated Chi-Chi with his final son, Goten. Now, in this version, some different shit happens though. At least in this version. Right after those 3 years pass, Bulma has had that whole thing happens like normal though. Bulma has just had Trunks. Chi-Chi is soon to have a son named Goten that they already disclaimed. Because, I mean, it was like kind of Gohan's name, but with 10 instead of Han. Which is their choice. But in this version, Gohan's the last one left. But, a difference though. Goten, unlike his canon counterparts, was given a gift before the death of everyone. Now, the only one that's, like, they all made this plan. All the adults planned this shit. They knew what they would give Gohan. Even telling Chi-Chi and Bulma, look, as they started to have a little bit of trouble saying it, let's all be honest, we're gonna die soon. No. Look, that's something we can't win. Since they literally barely survived their first scuffle and Vegeta died. But Vegeta did something before he died. He said, give me 1 second to give something before I go. Fine, take your best shot. Not to you. Oh, you're going to try killing people then? That'd be kind of funny watching you kill someone before you die. Ha ha ha. As he took off his boots, what, are you trying to kill us with your stinky ass feet? No. As he charged up his hand and threw his boots all the way to Krillin. Krillin saying, what, why? Get those to Gohan. He's the future of us. He's the only one with the potential needed to win this fight. Okay. Tears in Vegeta's eyes saying, get out of here. Full on tired. Tears. You know you're not getting away, right? This is when he yelled, now go! Piccolo saying, I don't think I can leave you here, Vegeta. This is suicidal, as he took his cape off and threw it to Yamcha. As you hear Tien say, yeah, that would be suicidal, Vegeta. You idiots, why are you staying with me? Tien then proceeds to say, hey, Piccolo, make me a belt. Sure, why? Is yours not working or something? No, that's not it. As he took it off, whipped it out, instead of whipping his belt off, the martial arts belt, and throwing it right over towards Krillin. Krillin catching it, saying, "You guys are fucking idiots." Yamcha then throwing the cape and saying, "We know." Wait, you're crazy. Vegeta actually said something that he'd never say in canon. You know what, Yamcha? We may have our differences, but goddammit, you're a real man when it comes to it. As Yamcha took his shirt off, his martial arts gi shirt, and then gave it to Krillin, saying, you know what to do with these men. I do. This is when Gohan, who's still there with them, says, what the fuck's going on? What are y'all talking about? No, you can't do that. As this was a plan they've already had worked out. If they're going to die, they're going to give Gohan, or whoever survives, at least one piece of each of their gear. And they know who it's going to be. As this is when Krillin took off his wristbands, saying, Gohan, what? Take these. As Roshi would appear, he ran out as fast as he could over there with his flying turtle. Gohan, get out of here. Roshi? What are you doing here? You're too old for this. Shut up. Listen, young ones. I'm about to show you why Turtle School is the strongest. Stepping forward into the same martial arts stance Goku used. and getting right into it and saying, "Here," throwing his shell and staff to Gohan. Gohan saying, "Why? Why are you doing this? Because you're the only one strong enough." Tears in their eyes saying, as Roshi took his shades off, for the first time being serious about the fight. Here, as it was caught by Gohan saying, "Fine. I won't abandon you though. You have to. That's cowardly. It's not. It's tactically retreating. But I can't leave you. Look, either you leave us or you die. And we need someone to raise those kids. God damn it, it's going to be you." Hearing this, he says, "Fine." This is when Roshi said, "Krillin, go with the boy. You're not strong enough to do this, neither is any of us. But if you're not here, it doesn't matter. You know that, right? We need a master of martial arts there." This is when Krillin straight up said, "You know I can't do that, master." "I know. I want at least one of my students to live." Roshi buffs up, and they fight again. And this time, Roshi's buff form doing a good bit of damage. But in the end, all of them were dead. Like, their necks were all ripped off, and Krillin even had his skull ripped off. Like, straight up Predator style, remove the spine and skull. As they all laid the fuck out. Straight up everyone was on the ground. Sensing each of their life force fading individually, Gohan's pissed. As he looks at Chi-Chi and Bulma saying, with tears, "They're gone." Thing is, Yajirobe. He still senses Yajirobe's power. But they just attacked Yajirobe. Feeling that while Korin was dead, Yajirobe wasn't. He didn't want to do this shit. Like, they weren't expecting what the fuck happened. Yajirobe wasn't dead yet. He was healed right as they left. Popo was at the top of the tower, alone. They didn't go up there. They didn't feel like it. Besides, they figured whoever was up there is probably weak enough for them to kill anyway. As this is when they found out that there was actually a tie, from I'm gonna say the Hami had basically yelled at them saying, "Get off my planet." And then he actually yelled at all of them, "Piccolo, get out of here." As they kind of deterred from going up there since, when they killed Piccolo, the voice shut the fuck up, saying, "Aw, what's wrong?" As this is when Krillin said, "You killed Piccolo and God." Tears in his eyes, as kind of bluffing this one. Now that he's dead, there's no one high up. You've killed the God. Oh, we killed God. Ha ha ha. Laughing their asses off that they did. 17, since he's the one who killed Piccolo, says, "Good." But right when all their powers vanish, Gohan, who doesn't have Super Saiyan, Strip said, I need to lay it down. And knowing that Yajirobe is alive, though, he will go visit him soon. With all the tears in his fucking eyes, saying, goodbye. For now. But dinner's ready. You need to eat to gain your strength. Give me a minute. Here. This is when, right before he went to bed, right before he went up to the room, he started crying. His mother and Bulma did not notice. And Baby Trunks did. Since he was seeing this. Cut over 7 years. We've now got an 8-year-old Trunks. Cut over to actually whenever Boo would appear in canon. We've now got an 8-year-old Trunks and a 7-year-old Goten training against Gohan in Super Saiyan. They can't. Goten is actually able to somewhat go into it. Trunks can't. And it's kind of upsets him that someone younger than him can go into it so easily. Thing is, Goten barely unlocked it. This is when they figured out, hey, if your father could do it before you were born, you should be able to do it. At least that's what they thought. That was their working theory. They kept training and training and training to the point where they were strong enough to go into it again. Now, Trunks, who was actually pissed off enough, found this is when we go skipping over a few years to when Trunks would unlock Super Saiyan. He's at the age of 10 now. He feels the presence leaving. He feels Gohan's body weakening. And they've had 4 Senzu beans saved up in this very moment. Yajirobe has had 1. He knows how to plant them, though. Since they had visited Yajirobe, to get them Senzu beans, they only have 4. Since, there won't be a new batch for a long time. That's the only reason they've been surviving, is because, well, Yajirobe has been planting Senzu beans. That's the only reason they're not dead yet. As there's an almost completely dead Gohan laid out with one of his arms missing. Goten and Trunks make it there at the same time. All both facing with their faces tortured into rage, their eyes open, and Super Saiyan pops out. As you hear laughing maniacally. Oh, what's wrong? Are they gone? Ha ha. As they feel a punch that straight up almost that actually made blood come out of 17's mouth. And 18 got kicked hard as shit in the gut. Like, gut checked so hard that she bent. As she basically got up, saying, "Oh, you think that's enough?" Thing is, this is when we're going to skip. This we're going to also visit and this is going to take place right when Gohan would actually have met, actually not met, but right when he impregnated, Videl in canon, since Videl is with her father, Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan saying, "Videl, get my daughter out of here. I'll handle these tin cans." Admitting, though in his mind he said, "I'm gonna die here." As he said, "Go, go, goddammit." Yes, sir. Goten basically holding his brother while Videl was carried by Trunks. The only reason Gohan intervened in this shit is because this wasn't an abandoned town like they thought. Mr. Satan and Videl were there. Mr. Satan, known as the strongest man alive, was going to try fighting them until he was straight up damn near murked. Now, a completely laid the fuck out Mr. Satan is passed the fuck out clean. Like, he's GG'd. His head's been severed. And he literally was forced to be sitting on his afro. As in, they literally tore his head off and put his head as if it was a chair for his body and lead him up against a wall. So that it would look more fucked up. They were pissed. Like, they were enraged to see this. They're pissed. They've never been this pissed off. When they come back with Gohan there, with Videl. Making sure, though they can straight up tell her, don't, you won't like what you see. She said she needed to see her father. She didn't care if he was alive or dead, she needed to make sure where he was. As she saw his head underneath his butt, she said, "Father, no!" Roaring out in rage. 17 hears this, saying, "Oh, you're still here? Oh, you came back for him. How gallant. Too bad we already murked him." As he starts laughing, as Gohan flew forward, saying, "You bastard!" As every punch started to shake 17. 17 could only was actually on an even playing field with this version of Gohan. At least not even, but at least with an enraged boost, he was strong enough to be on that same level, but it was temporary. Right when his rage was starting to cease, that's when you hear Kame Galaga Ha Gun, as boom, 2 attacks fly in. A Galagun and a Kamehameha to send both of those flying. As you hear, "Grab her, go! Gohan, we can't! Do it, I'll catch up!" As you hear them say, "Fine," they're both flying away. As you hear, "Solar Flare!" As they said, "Goddammit, not this again!" As they can't see anything, as this is when you hear Gohan flew away at full speed, but he didn't make it out unscathed. His arm is missing. As this is when you see an adult, as this is when we're going to cut a few years. Well, not even a few years, a few days. Gohan, who's just got that sense of being that made him recover to his full power. And even give him a little bit of a Zenkai since his arm was completely gone. But this is when they had an idea. They had the perfect idea. They grabbed the almost unstoppable thing they think could ever happen. They talked to Bulma about making a time machine, and because she actually had an idea that would be perfect, but she was remodeling an old spaceship to become a time machine. And she had to do this. It was difficult as hell. She gave Trunks her book of research in case they needed in the future, since she knew all of it by heart and had a spare one. You know, she read 2 different copies. Now, Trunks said, at this point we have an adult Trunks with a sword on his back. I don't know where the fuck he got the sword. I'm sorry, but yeah. You could say it was that same dude that they had to deal with, but that monster they were fighting was strong as shit. I don't think that they would have been able to take that thing on without a Super Saiyan 3 Goku or something. Even if they didn't have Super Saiyan 3 Goku at that point, I don't think they could have taken that thing on so easily. But I'm gonna say he was his blade, at least, for the land on Earth. Trunks finds it to be his perfect weapon, and Gohan was actually he was basically training his full might to fight like hell. But it wasn't perfect. As his ki started to, as they all of their ki started to increase, not knowing what they were about to see, they saw a grown-ass man standing there laughing maniacally, as if something was funny. They're all in Capsule Corp, by the way, and Gohan still laid the fuck out. He's recovered, yeah, but he's straight up asleep. As you hear, huh, you thought you could stop us. As you get to see Jiro in his, nah, you know what, yeah. They get to see, not Jiro, but a altered version of 13. 13 laughing, saying, "Oh, what's wrong? Y'all thought you could escape? Oh, maybe those other 2 failures were messed up, but not me." Basically, as this is when Chi-Chi and Bulma are picked up by their throats. You hear their sons yelling, "Let go of them!" This made Videl into the room, saying, "What's wrong?" She's in shock and horror as she sees this. As Gohan just woke up, he flies forward and straight up charges and tackles the dude through the wall. That got a little bit of shit going, saying, "Get out of here, all of you!" As this is when 17 and 18 would arrive. "Aw, what's such a big crash? Are you trying to get our attention?" I knew this would happen. Trunks saying, "We can't leave him. We don't want to. Don't worry." Goten being the one to say, "Don't worry, he'll be fine." How can you say that, Goten? We need to go help him. Even if we tried, it wouldn't work. What do you mean it wouldn't work? Tears in his eyes saying, "We wouldn't be strong enough to help him." As you hear a charging up of Roar, as Gohan went into a form he never thought he'd be able to go into. He went into Super Saiyan. But not plain old Super Saiyan. And this is going to take place after what would have happened in canon that killed Gohan. So, yeah. And this is a 13 that's strong enough with his Super 13 form to challenge a Super Saiyan after training Goku that was able to keep up with Cell. And even taking that to defeat him. And even then, took about a fight. So 13's beating their ass, knowing that he's the strongest one there. This is when 16 would arrive. with his red hair, his skull being damaged in the fight. Since he's kind of, he is the strongest one. Like 16 in this version is the strongest. Well, minus 13. 16 is actually a little bit weaker than 13. In form regular to regular, they're the same strength, but in Super 13 form, yeah, which 14 and 15 are there too. You got 14 through 18 are all there. Fro was cackling that he had them things go out there. Even those little survivors couldn't handle this, since he had his mind backed up to his computer, as a kind of precaution. With a smirk on his face saying, "Perfect." As this is when a Gohan would rage up, and he would hit a form that wasn't quite normal. He sparked and hit Super Saiyan 2, killing 13, 14, and 15. But 16, 17, and 18 did something smarter. 16 had his skull blown up, but he straight up said he doesn't want to fight, since it's not what he wanted. He did want to kill Goku, that was his purpose. My purpose was to kill Son Goku. That is not Son Goku. Saying this, since he was still injured by, by a pissed off 13 that hit him right in the head, bashing it open and cracking it. A Super 13 though, since, he couldn't hang with him then. 17 and 18 said, "What a drag." As they actually went to, try their luck, as Gohan would have fallen out of Super Saiyan 2 and passed out. They're saying, "Oh good, a stop target. Too bad all of them are dead." Seeing it killed 14 and 15, even a Super 13 that's on the ground. But this is when they see something unexpected. 16, who's laid completely on the ground, they're all four shattered. Well, except for, all three of those ones were shattered. But 16 was only skull cracked, since he wasn't involved in the fight. As this is when we get to see 16 laid out and laid on the ground perfectly. But with his Red Ribbon Army thing ripped off. Jirohu thought of 16 as his son, since that's the whole point. He made 16 to go after to copy about the son he had so many years ago. Since, his son was the one that he modeled 16 after. Now, that was his whole plan. Have 16 modeled after his son, and have him have the sole intention of killing Goku, since Goku killed his son. That was his plan, at least. But then, he couldn't do it. As we get to see a very, very messed up Goku, very, very messed up 16 laid out, with the parts from 14 and up. From 14 to 16, all laid out. Looking at all the files, all the ones that are messed up and everything, removing all the ones that said "Kill Son Goku." Removing every single fucking one of those. But that's it. All he did was remove the one that said "Kill Son Goku." He had no other plan. They had no other plan. They did have one that they inserted, which was memories from his old life. It was his memory of fighting to protect someone. A smaller cadet that was fighting against, not Goku, but actually, yeah, it was fighting against Kid Goku. But he didn't hate Goku. He said, "Look, kid, I know that you want us." He was basically saying, "Look, stop, kid, we need to just stop," as he got sent flying. More trying to stop Son Goku, trying to talk to Goku, but Goku was enraged. He couldn't stop. 16 not blaming Goku, even on his dying breath, saying, "Well, that's what you get for being a soldier, man." Teared out, saying, goodbye, as he's completely clocked out. That's the last memory or recording we have that they had of him. The rest of it, the recording was basically 2 minutes longer until the camera shut off, and it was just him laid on the ground, dead. But this is when they get to see something. They saw Goku shrink down and walk over to 16's dead body. His human body, at least. With tears falling out of Goku's eyes, he said, I'm sorry. I couldn't control myself. I'll try to wish you back with the Dragon Balls. I'll try. I promise I will." But he never got the ability to. since, it was kind of fucked over every time he tried getting them, for the rest of the time trying to get the Dragon Balls, he kind of got fucked over on that one. Now, this is when, because he saw 16 wasn't trying to kill him, but when he saw the moon, 16 died. 16 didn't even, he actually set his gun down so Goku would, not view him as a threat. And it worked. Goku didn't view him as a threat. But Berserker him didn't care who was a threat. Now, this is when he would wake up with his memories all intact, and even that video recording of himself. Except for the ones that said, kill Goku, kill Goku. That was gone. Replaced with protect Earth. But only one that said protect Earth. And that was the memory he had from his old life. His plan was to rank up in that army. And then become known as, the strongest general. And become the head of the army to protect the world. But that didn't work. Back to What If though. Goten, they see a very, very strongly powered up Gohan who said that he couldn't go back into that form. He didn't know what the hell that was, but it was like a Super Saiyan, but stronger. Now, note, they don't have mastered Super Saiyan. That was a spark of Super Saiyan 2 for a moment that damn near killed him. He couldn't hang with that power. But it worked enough. It kept him strong enough. Now, that was more than what they needed. Strong enough as in straight up overwhelming strength. Now, we get to then see a very powerhoused Goten trying to go into that form, but only able to make a single strike of lightning around his body, but stopping, but not being able to hold it for much longer. But, here we go. Once he couldn't hold that for no longer, he straight up hit the floor. Trunks, who knew he couldn't go into that shit. After all, Gohan was the strongest of them. He was, the second strongest, but even if he could manage 2 bolts of lightning, what's that gonna do? What's he gonna change? Fuck it. Giving them all senzu beans as he tried doing himself, but having a senzu bean in his mouth when he tried. When he was failed and was about to pass out, he bit the senzu bean, and it basically used its ability to heal him. Now this is all it took. They're now healed up and everything. A few hours later is when they see 16 with a Capsule Corp logo on instead of the normal, red ribbon. As he said, I'm sorry for what happened. I'll help you stop them. That was his plan, at least. This version doesn't have so well. Since there was one thing that they did remove, the bomb. What they didn't remove was the bomb that they had in another one of them. There was still 12. And I don't know anything about 12, but I'm going to say in this version, well, no, it was 16, 15, 13, so 12, I'm going to say was a human, had a human body in this version. Strong one, too. Like, he was a beast, physically, at least. 12, though, was known as the strongest creation. At least in this version. Now, I don't really know anything about the creation 12, but I'm going to say it was the strongest one of his ever made. It was so strong, he sealed him away as in a never use again type moment. But he did make a little plan. He would use him, because 12 was the first time he ever tried using multiple together. But he was like Super 13. At least in terms of strength. He realized he needed to use like something small, less powerful. 12, that's why he made 13 and going up. His hair was long and spiky like a Super Saiyan 3, but it was all red. His skin was a pale white that looked like Chaozu. As this is when he goes to try stopping them just for the androids to get their, just to straight up snap 16's head and blow him the fuck up. In this version, he knew he didn't have the bomb in him. Gohan is trying to stop him, but straight up getting his ass whooped every turn. Right when he's about to die, you hear Kamehameha Gali Gun. As both hit this thing right in the chest, it bounces. They straight up laugh. It straight up laughs it off. This is when they use a technique they found out they could do. They charge their energy together, and they use something that basically fused their beams to make a drill. This cracked this thing's chest. Both of them in Super Saiyan though. Gohan saying, "Keep it up, guys." Since they had one more beam left in them, they do that beam. This thing basically grabbing it and basically tanking it, as you hear Kame, Hame, ha, right from Gohan. As this blew apart that android, but note, it took all their energy. 17 and 18, note that they need to hide the fuck out of there. They are not strong enough to fuck with these guys. But that's only when grouped up. When alone, they could easily take them. They're hiding more now, but they didn't have an idea. Go back in time. So they used their hope. They used hope and still went there. This one has enough room for 3 grown-ass men. And Videl just stayed there with, Bulma and Chi-Chi. Which it could have fit her too. Like, there was a 4th seat. And this version, Cell still kind of had to go into a larvae stage. Cell still had to go into a larvae stage to, do his shit. And it was right when he went to said larvae stage that it happened. But that was an after training Cell. That was an after training Trunks. That was stronger than Gohan is currently. Now, when they go there in the future, they were surprised at what they found. The legend Son Goku was not there. They found Frieza. And Gohan remembers Frieza. Frieza way too fucking well and blew his head off. Not caring being raised in a world without anything but pain. Looking eye to fucking eye with King Cold. King Cold saw that blade, thinking, is that the weapon that makes them so powerful? Trying to rationalize the shit. Thing is, he saw a turtle shell. Not a turtle shell, no. He saw a pair of Saiyan boots on. No. You know what, yeah. He saw a pair of Saiyan boots. He saw a red sash that didn't even match the outfit. It was an orange gi with 2 different insignias. One on the insignia on the chest and back, and then one on the leg, on the side of the leg, which didn't read anything near the same. Thinking it must be all those different people's gear. It looks just like those down there. Don't care. He goes to try stopping them, just straight up get his head blown off. And blown to ash. This is when all of them are powered up. Like hitting all that boost power. As they all rage up. They all strength up. And they are straight up destroying that entire army like they were a joke. Vegeta sees Trunks and wasn't exactly sure what he found. Then Goku arrives when they said he would arrive. But in this version, when Goku arrives, he was surprised at what he felt. This key. Even Vegeta noticed it. It was just like... But who's the other 2? This one was just like Gohan's, but who was the other 2? Who the hell are these 2 with the perfect key match of Gohan? What's happening? This is when Gohan straight up had to say it. Look, I can't tell you who those 2 are, but I can tell you who I am. I am Son Gohan. Your son from the future. In 3 years' time, at the exact date Trunks states, there'll be two androids. But don't think that's it. Stating every single other android and saying they were all creations by Dr. Gero. Mentioning android 12. 12? Goku remembers 11. 11 was the first android to ever damn near kill him. Instant kill him, by the way. He's terrified. They're that strong. Train for the next 3 years. Y'all didn't train very hard in my time, but I'll show up then and I'll help you. Alright. They do their 3 years training, but then we flash to the 3 years later. Gohan actually told Goku a little bit about this Super Saiyan 2 form, and that every one of them had Super Saiyan. Surprising the shit out of him, saying, wait, what? Yeah, we can all go into Super Saiyan. Fine. Now, this is what led to all of them wanting Super Saiyan. Vegeta and Gohan seeing that he could get Super Saiyan and seeing that this was his future self, but he became a fighter and he only had one arm. But thing is, there was one thing. Bulma had used parts from 16 to make another arm. He used parts from all of them to actually make that arm. It was strong enough to keep up with all of them and it would never break. At least not unless... Well, it would never break as long as he kept Ki infused. And even giving him one other thing. There was a jewel inside one of the hands of this big marshmallow looking fucking robot. This big fat one that they had to kill a little while back. They knew it was a Jirobot, and they knew it was Android 20. Wait a second. You know what? I'm gonna say it was Android 19. 20 was Jiro. So yeah, it's Android 19. Seeing Android 19, this scares the shit out of them. But they beat it, and they used the gem and placed it in the hand, since they figured he needs the power to absorb Ki with these things. Them all having these now thing, at least he does, stating that he's, which he covered his arm. He wore a cloak over his right arm that made sure to cover it. He had his left one out, though, so they were surprised at what they saw. When they saw a robotic arm, saying, what the hell? Yeah, I need it. It's the kind of thing I needed. But here. Giving a kind of small, not very important, but gift to everyone. Since he remembers their kindness when he was younger. But we get to see in the only two pieces of clothing he chose to keep were the wristbands of Krillin, the pants of Goku, the shades of Roshi, and the cape of Piccolo. The cape is what covered him. The belt of Tien is something he does wear, yes, and the boots of Vegeta. They're all he wears all of the clothes they gave him, but he doesn't have the turtle shell on his back. Or the staff of Roshi. Since Roshi knows the staff, it was just something he found. He had made for him, and the shell was really just for training. Now, he did see a reason of carrying both. He wouldn't use them, but he would have them. He only kept Roshi's shades on for his wear in a fight. It's kind of homage to the original Turtle Hermit. Now, he would actually, at this point, he straight up said he has a daughter. But he wouldn't tell, he has a daughter at this point. But he wouldn't tell his younger self that. Now, flash forward, actually I'm going to say not even 2 days. Actually, yeah, about 2 years have passed. Like, after the Cell games and all that shit happens. But in this version, the more training made it more useful, but it was still difficult. After those 2 years passed, in the future, Mai and all of them are saying what the fuck's going on. But in this version, future Gohan actually grabbed this thing by the throat since it tried killing Chi-Chi and Bulma. As well as having Mai with a scythe mate, basically having her held by her throat using Ki. But seeing all three of these women about to die, three women who've meant the world to him since he was a little kid, you hear him clench his fist and roar out in power as he flew forward and straight up snatched. He straight up grabbed Black, which he knew what Black was. He hasn't forgotten over these 2 years. Even if he did master Super Saiyan 2 and find this new form that he calls Super Saiyan 3, which he figured they go to a time a little bit later, far past where they are now, seeing that everything should be okay. They go to the same event in Super. But in this version, they tell them what happened. And how all these that they're damn near dead. Thing is, even though like Trunks was in the ship with like that, like all of the people, they weren't dead because Gohan stopped that. He sent them to go and run, telling them this: go, get the fuck out of here, do this, do that. That was his order. But when they get to their thing, they said, "Oh, as this is when they meet their younger counterparts." Gohan meets his younger self, which is actually around the same age as him, and he looks at his daughter. So you have a pan too. You have a daughter? Of course. I married Videl. I guess you could call us soulmates. If we both wound up marrying her with such different personalities, though. So how'd you get her? Now we go into they talk about how, all that shit happened. Holy shit. You have an ultimate form? You didn't go into Super Saiyan 3? No, why would I? Alright. Motherfucker, me and you need to train. Actually, I don't train anymore. Oh, shut the hell up. You don't train anymore? Oh, fuck no. You're training again. But this is when Black would appear. A Black they weren't ready for. But thing is, even though Gohan knew Goku, like he knew him for years, but when he saw Black, he forgot about his father. So whenever they all woke up, they all three tried jumping Goku. Trunks in Super Saiyan 2, Goten in Super Saiyan 2, and Gohan in Super Saiyan 3. Noting that was the most damage they ever did to him in all those three forms, and that damn near killed him. But it also gave him Super Saiyan 3. And a Rosé version at least. That I would call at least, on bare minimum, equivalent to Ultra Instinct. If you're wondering, how the fuck are they still alive? Well, because he hasn't been able to finish the job because they keep fucking him over. With, blinding his eyes and shit like that. Now, whenever in this version, hearing what's going on, and the ship being so much fucking larger, they decide to all go in. That's right, all of them. Even Beerus and Vegeta. Not Beerus and Vegeta, Beerus and Whis. They want to see what the fuck's going on. Oh shit. As they're straight up lifted to the fucking sky, Goku hitting Super Saiyan Blue, noting that, well, this was a strength they weren't ready for. It was beyond their strength. It was beyond them all. This was the final power. One that they had never planned on dealing with. Now, they all straight up lined up their full force, which damn near, just barely, damn near killed all of them. Now, what I mean by that is straight up, it almost killed everyone on that planet. Seeing this version of Samasu being immortal, they have an idea. They grab. He uses his full force. And this is when they said, come on. Told us about this fusion thing. You two do it. Them going into a Super Saiyan 3 form that is stronger than Gohan. Gohan, they wind up using Hope though. And old Gohan, and a future Gohan uses his power. He uses this 3 form that he's trained for about a day with, as well as Ultimate, since he went back in time. They go and straight up pick up this. They straight up pick him up by his chest. And even Beerus has to try to use a Hakai on him. It doesn't work. Since Beerus isn't as strong as him. Then asking Whis to help him. Whis straight up says, I don't think I could, my lord. Goku remembering the Zenny button. Well, Zeno button, but he calls it the Zenny button. Yelling, Zenny! And pushing the button. Zeno from the future comes here saying, what the? Straight up saying, hey, Zenny, I need your help. What do you mean you need my help? I need you to do me a favor, okay? And get me the fuck out of here. Straight up kill that guy, basically. Alright, he basically made existence go away and brought they all brought Zeno with them in the ship. saying, Beerus, what are you doing here? Oh, as he met the other Zeno and met those two angels, those two guards that would join them. Now there's four guards and two Zenos. They saw the Tournament of Power, but in this version, because of what happened to that entire existence going away, everyone, even their other version of Pan, came here. But they would live in a different city. But they would always be at their beck and call. And they go, for when they hear about the Tournament of Power, they're asking if they need any help or anything like that. This is when they had an idea. They begged, because they saw the power that Krillin had, all that shit. And at 18, they were both weaker than They were both weaker than Goku. And at this point, because they've had this for like a few months, they've been there, I'm going to say, for like 2 months in this version, they've all gotten Super Saiyan. And Gohan has forced his past, basically present time Gohan, has been forced by future Gohan to train. And he does every fucking day. After work, he comes home and trains. He kept doing this day in, day out. Day in, day out. Going to the point where he was actually decided to become a new champ. Now, yes, it was a big deal for, the champ to be the champ, but basically becoming part of the payroll, instead of having the same thing, since he was a fighter, he had one robotic arm. And he didn't look anything like present-day Gohan, so it was a whole different thing. And this is what their version of Goten looks like. He's a grown-ass man, so he doesn't look anything like his Goten counterpart. So they all came up with a different name and different aliases. And after years of fighting, I'm going to say they don't even have fingerprints anymore, so yeah. Which actually can be caused by burns and shit like that, which I'm going to say they did suffer a good bit of. And if you're saying, that doesn't happen, look at a Mexican mama's handprint. They ain't got fingerprints because they burn their hands on stoves. And yes, this is true. But back to What If. Now, this is when we get to see a very, very, very scary sight. We see the Tournament of Power being a whole different group. Instead of Roshi being there, or instead of Tien being there, all that, there's no humans on the group. There is 3 Super Saiyan, though. 3 Super Saiyan gods. More than there was in canon. Now, 18, I'm debating whether or not I should have 18 even join, since, she was still kind of a big deal in the future, but, back to What If. I'm not sure if we should have 18 even join, or 17 for that matter, but I'm going to say we do. They join. They decided, fuck it, let's join. But, because, Gohan, future Gohan at least, he's a family man, but he's never abandoned his kids. But he does train every day, and his wife understands, she's a martial artist too, and their daughter Pan is raised to be a martial artist. Like they are, and she already has Super Saiyan. She even can tap into Super Saiyan 2 when she wants to. So, yeah, this is a whole different version of Pan. And this version of Pan, being about 4 years older than all, makes it look a lot different. Now, Gohan, who's kept training, has trained, and he didn't just unlock his ultimate form. At this point, he's found another form entirely. Him and Piccolo. Piccolo finding a more buff, larger form that was yellow. And Gohan finding his, beast mode. Future Gohan tried discovering Ultimate, but he couldn't do it. He tried getting the help from the Kais, but he noted his training hadn't gone the way of Gohan, so they tried using it, and they noted his Ultimate form was weaker than Super Saiyan 3. He said, training it enough and your ultimate will become stronger. It will be like that one, the beast mode. I don't want to copy him. Since this version, Goku has trained a lot more, since he has to try keeping up. And in the Tournament of Power, with these 3 extra people, they were debating about who else they had to join. Like, who else could they let join? Like, they just kicked out, those 3. Roshi, Tien, and Roshi, Tien, and Raditz. Not Raditz, Krillin. Roshi, Tien, and Krillin, and they were just 3 out. But they were debating if they should, change up a little bit. I mean, who should they have join them. It's the only three people they have from the future. Wait, from the future. That's it. They had that idea. They wouldn't change time again, but they would have that group. So in this version, because Krillin said, I need to go in, 18 straight up said, look, I'll make you a deal. Go in the time chamber and become stronger than I am. That way I can watch our daughter while you're gone. As you hear a grit of teeth, Krillin trained in the Hyperlock time chamber with future Gohan. He trained for upwards of 4 months before the tournament. Now, thing is, of those training, once they had finally finished it, it was a fight. Krillin had his hair cut clean bald again. He was in his old gi with his wristbands and everything. He looked menacing, though. He got nothing but training. Because in this version, they didn't really have to worry about people since they had so many of them. And Goku should have just honest, look, it's a tournament to fight the two of the strongest in all the universes. Future Gohan said, I'm in. Instantly just saying, I'm in. Basically, everyone said they were in. But Yamcha wanted to be recruited, but couldn't. He wasn't strong enough. Now, this is when Frieza, who has got some real mean beef with both Gohan and Goku. But Cell, they were debating about trying to see if Cell would be strong enough eventually to join, because, like, he was stronger than... He could be a lot more powerful given the same amount of time of training, but they don't want to do that shit, so they decided not to. Now, this alone makes him a fucking threat. Like a threat on the threat of the gods. Now, at this point, they've all got their powered forms. There's no Ultimate Gohans. There's 2 Beast modes. There's an actual Beast Instinct. Beast Instinct, which is basically a mixture between Beast and Ultra Instinct that Future Gohan uses. Actually, Beast Instinct is what Goten uses. Future Goten, that is. And Future Trunks has, Ultra Ego. But it's a little mixed with something. It's called Hope Ego. It's called Ultra Hope Ego. It's purple with a blue aura around it as well. And his eyes go pale, like completely gone, and became strong as shit. This is what made him as dangerous as he was. Hope reigned above. But, being that's all he has, that's all he could use, really. That's all he had at his disposal. But, it was all it took. Since he's in his Hope form, he's a lot more menacing as shit, though. Like, straight up all the menace. Anyway, yeah, he's way too much menacing to just simply be a normal-ass thing. They weren't ready for him, since over these vast amount of training, in this version, everyone being so much stronger, 17 and Krillin were really the weakest too, and Krillin was actually stronger than 17. He was on the same level as a Super Saiyan Blue in this version, at least. And he could keep up with an Ultra Instinct in this ultimate variation he found. Having to absorb ultimate energy from Gohan, though, to unlock the form, noting it was extremely straining on the body. But he could do it. Now, that did make him more threatening, but he wasn't quite on the same level as them. Like, he was close, but he wasn't there. He could keep up in a fight, but that was all of his training. That was it. Now, because they had this, the tournament power goes straight up in their side, except for against Jiren. Jiren is straight up slapping them all around until he sees Goku in Ultra Instinct. Someone who made the gods tremble. The whole team did. Every one of them is on the level of the gods, except for 2. One of which is actually close to it, and the other is just a good bit of ways behind it, but still somewhere near the realm. They're noting that everyone on that team is at least on the realm of God level. Even Piccolo. Piccolo, in his new form, is straight up a beast. And that's what it took. That's literally what they had to use against it. With everyone straight up missing limbs and shit. Like everyone in the tournament was straight up wiped around like they were cloths. Hell, even like Topo and Dispo, they jumped hit. Thing is, Goku jumped in saying, "Yeah, no fuckers." Straight up pimp slapped them away. Dispo got sent flying. Topo wasn't expecting what the fuck he got hit by, and didn't see it coming since he got hit the floor. But he stood back up and used his ultimate, using his God of Destruction form, and Topo Topo uses that, and Dispo uses his full speed. But this is when Jiren would actually step in the game, seeing that he's needed, flying forward with the entire Pride Troopers behind him, trying to fight Goku in a jumping every 1v1. But they note that that's only one member of the team. The other members, since there's, I think I'm going to say 12 universes. Yeah, there's like 12 universes. They weren't expecting what they had to deal with. From 12 to 1, it's a clean sweep. Thing is, they would like jump him. Like the weakest 4 universes would team up against 2 of them. And they would go after Krillin, and Krillin would utterly like, straight up take out the first universe. The second one took him out, but like same thing with like 17, same shit happened. Same one took him out. Like he took that whole ass broken thing, and then that second one, only leaving one guy from each. And these 2 straight up walked away. And these would be like an invisible dude and some other shit. And now they go to try helping other universes, or at least trying to hide until it's like only them being in the final battle. The invisible guy thinking, yeah, I can hide, I don't worry. All he did was straight up just break the ground so that Krillin would fall, and it wasn't just like the ground crumbled underneath Krillin. They saw it sliced, so they knew someone was invisible or some shit. Piccolo straight up took out an entire group, but still being taken out in the process. At this point, the only group that wasn't helping them get jumped was Universe 6. Universe 6, 7, and 10. Those were the only 3 universes. And 10 was jumping Goku. Since Goku was kinda... It was just him and future Gohan left. They're the only ones that are left standing in their universe. Seeing as they have the least amount of people, they're thinking they're going to be eliminated next. They're not. Though it was thought Goku died when he used his full power to send everyone out. But it all got pushed back on him by everyone's pushing it right back at him. It doesn't kill him, but it damn near does. As he's pushed to his limit, he yells, "Rah!" As his hair pitched white and had a single dot of orange aura on it. Single dot and orange lines going down his arms. Zeno straight up shaking in his pants. The Grand Priest is terrified. He powers up to his full force and approaches Goku with a no fucks given form. Beerus is shaking since he feels these 2 powers, both approaching Goku. The future Zeno is shaking as well. Flies forward and steps. They go into their adult forms. They're 100% forms which tower over Goku. They look like Jiren, but completely just universes instead of skin. They're that big. And they actually grab Goku and say, "How did you get this power?" This wasn't just Ultra Instinct, power of the angels. This was Archangel levels of power. Something that not even the Grand Priest was on the rank of. Actually, that's why he's called the Grand Priest. He's not on the level of the Archangel, he's right behind them. And Zeno himself is only on the level of 1 Archangel. His brothers, which I'm going to say he has about 4 of, are all strong as an Archangel. Are actually all stronger than their Archangels. They're all his older brothers, though, and his father and 2 other beings of existence are on a little planet and exists in Galaxy 0. I mean, Universe 0. Universe 0 is never to be go to. No one can even approach the area. It was never touched. Because it was just too strong. Like, anyone on there would kill instantly. And guess who's on there? Zeno's dad, 2 other beings, the Grand Priestess, who is the strongest Archangel, who basically watches over Zeno's father. The Archangels, which are the brothers and sisters of Whis, who are all stronger than their father. Like, Cuss is the strongest one out of the kids that's trying to become an Archangel, but she's not quite strong enough. At least not yet. That's the whole reason that that other one was trained in Universe 7, to kind of take her place when she's gone. Now, at least she would take over the role that he had while the Grand Priest was trying to hit Archangel status. Now, you didn't have to be like one of them, but like you had to be that powerful. Now, the thing is, the Grand Priest was fine with his title of Grand Priest. Like, he didn't want to be an Archangel. He planned on getting the power reached, going back to his old strength, and giving it to another one of his kids. That's what he does the whole time, passing the power down, since he feels he's too old for it. And the forbidden power is something they have in a box. It takes all the Archangels, all the Angels, at least all their staffs. So even if only one was left, even if only a single destroyer was left, if they had all the staffs, they could do it. But it also takes a password that only Zeno, his father, and his brothers know. And they all have to type it in, and they're all different passwords. Now, unless you had all of this information and weaponry, you couldn't you couldn't get that box. It was like straight up the ultimate power. It was called the Forbidden Abilities, and it was absorbed by Zeno's father, so it would never be used again. But because of bullshit reasoning, someone used the Eternal Dragon, something that Yamoshi had used to kind of steal away some shit. And they actually used it to get that thing themselves. Thing is, that was out of the dragon's power. What the dragon could do, because every time it moved it an inch would be very exhausting on it. Since this was a power that the dragon itself could barely move, it took all its energy trying to get it there, but it could only get it so far, saying, I will make it 200 light years away from you. That is 14 galaxies. Alright. Is that the closest you can get it, though? Yes. Fine. As this is when they actually get there, and it was just some random-ass baddie named Moreau. Now, they were actually going to send Moreau to Prison Planet in World Zero. In Universe Zero, at least. It was called the Zero Planet because no one could ever escape it. The Archangels guarded that with Zeno's brothers. All of them who did not fear anyone. Now, Zeno had his big form, but that wasn't an adult form. He was still technically, even though he was technically an adult, he didn't grow into his full power. His brothers all stayed in their full power form, but they had clothes that they wore over it. He didn't. He just had been stuck looking like a universe. They had their own bodies and everything, looked somewhat human, at least. But at this point, something happened. As this is when Zeno, who had told his brothers about what's going on, hearing that all the power was released, and everyone on the world Zero, in Universe Zero, couldn't hang with this, since that prison planet was destroyed. Every one of the Archangels was on their ass. 4 beings were let out. Max Cell, Z Broly, Kid Buu, and the final being, an evil Jiren. Now I'm thinking, how the fuck are those guys threats? How the fuck are they in this thing big enough for that? Besides, they don't exist in this version, right? Well, they do. But they all look like their canon counterparts, but it's a little bit different. Like, Z Broly looks like Z Broly, exactly like him. But it has that form that Goku used, the Archangel-looking one. He was the strongest. These were all beings from universes that were unstoppable. They were the most evil beings in existence. Their strength overwhelmed Zeno. But Goku's just did. But it wasn't just being that strong got you, like, on that list to be there. Being evil enough could too. Like, they only were sent there because they were that evil. Moreau was about to join them. He wasn't really strong enough to be there, though, but they figured, 5th member wouldn't be a big deal. Besides, his ability to absorb power would be useful, which really wasn't found because they knew the truth, but all their characters really need to be doing that. They didn't know that it didn't matter if they were alive or dead. They just knew they needed them somewhat for it. So they didn't leave. They didn't die, but they knew they'd have to use the ultimate power to stop them, since that's what they've had to use to stop each of them individually. Zeno's father said it wouldn't even matter if I had it. It wouldn't change shit. With my son, without my sons, I can't win this fight. Even Zeno would be needed. Now, that's what they do. They use that. Goku, whose strength keeps up with the Archangels, was told to train 200 years. Future Goten, Future Trunks, all that shit would train with him. For 200 years straight. Now you're thinking, how the fuck are they training for 200 years? Wouldn't that basically make the threat gone? No. They train inside Pyramid of Power, inside a Pyramid of Power, inside a Pyramid of Power. Basically, going inside the time chamber, training inside the multiple sets of Pyramids of Power with all the angels and archangels with them, as well as Zeno and them, all that. They train there, and once they're done, gods of creation make animals so that they could eat, and, well, gods of creation were the weakest gods. Well, second only to gods of creation, which even gods of creation, Zero was strong enough strong enough to threaten Zeno. Like, they did not feel respect. They respected him, yes, but they didn't feel it necessary. There were two other beings in Universe Zero on the planet with that. The Grand Priestess and one other. Yamoshi himself. Not the father of Zeno. Zeno is not the son of Yamoshi. So Yamoshi is a Namekian. But there was one other creature there. One other being. His name it was wait, no, it was Yamoshi was the Saiyan one. Oh yeah, Saiyan one was Yamoshi. And then the actual god of the truest variation of god of Pickle, god of Namekians. His name actually was his name. Just freak them out a little bit. So Nail was the one who Piccolo fused with all the years ago, but this one is a very, very different version of that story. In this version, Nail took over. And Piccolo and them kinda exist. After absorbing his entire race, even Guru, he could do everything they could, but this version, he did something else. After killing Frieza, he put Frieza's energy into his own body using his ancient spell, becoming stronger and stronger, being basically the one who wields those infinite Dragon Balls. But he put a few limitations on them himself, since they have 0 limitations. They can revive people from not being existing anymore, like, they can straight up create beings from existence, all that shit, but they would only be usable through God Tongue, which sadly didn't really work out well since a few gods abused them bitches. But back to this. This is when we finally finish it off, since, Goku has to go deal with that shit. All of the group, Goten, even Goten himself, Kid Goten, is training to deal with this. Like, it's that threatening. Thing is, when Goku has to stop those 5 beings, even, because Moro's with them, grab Goku and chain him up, basically forcing him stuck to the earth to be stopped for 3 years. They straight up announced, we got 3 years. Shit happens, bitches. We got 3 years. If you don't appear by then, you know what, in 3 years, we're gonna come back. We're gonna destroy everything. You got that long to get ready for us. They do. And when they get there, they see a bloody and beaten Goku. Laid clean the fuck out. Like, he's passed out, like, snoring and shit. Like, he has no way of getting up. But he does. He barely gets up. And he uses this to protect them all. He got up and protected them by a hair left. He saved them with the last bits of energy he had left in his body, protecting them in his dying breath. As Goku would die of his mortal shell. Though angel wings would start flapping out of his body, as his body cracked like a shell, and it shattered. His angelic form rose out, as it instantly sliced all of the threats down, walking forward saying, "Enough," popping his neck. This is when the true God, his father, said here, gifting him the full power, called Absolute. Absolute was the actual abilities that he granted towards all of them. It was the only ability that was considered an unstoppable ability. Mind you, it was seen as unstoppable by all of them. The power was granted to Goku, as he was now the god of everything. And this is the end of what if future Goten had done that. And yeah, the Broly movie still happens, and the Gohan movie does, but they don't even really matter. They take place in those 3 years, and they should just get one shot. So yeah, this is the end of what if future Goten existed. And I finished the series myself, so sorry guys. But yeah.